The FBI had been targeting Japanese American community leaders and residents on the West Coast since the 1930s. A federal watch list of first-generation Japanese immigrants, or Issei, was created, and individuals that posed a perceived threat or were suspected of subversive activities were monitored. In the weeks that followed the attack at Pearl Harbor, fear about national security mushroomed. Invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 as justification, thousands of the homes of the people on this list of Japanese immigrants were searched by the U.S. government. Common items considered contraband were seized, and 9,000 Japanese Americans were arrested and detained without evidence or due process. On February 4th, the FBI, along with Washington State troopers and Kitsap County Sheriff deputies, entered and searched Japanese American households on Bainbridge Island. Tomi Egashira was only 7 years old when her father was taken away by the FBI.
I didn't know there was going to be a roundup or anything. I came home one day from school and there was no kids outside. Usually there's kids outside, my brothers or my cousins running around outside playing, but there was nobody around. Or if I get really close to the house, then somebody usually pops out of the door, but nobody came to the door. And when I opened the door, there was a man there, and he said, "Well, who are you?" And I didn't know what to say.
After World War I, the U.S. government distributed surplus dynamite specifically to farmers who could use the material to clear farmland. Most farms on Bainbridge had dynamite stored in their barns. Shimako Sally Kitano was 9 years old when the FBI agents searched her family's house and farm.
I had just gotten home from school and I saw these two big black cars, shiny cars, sitting in the driveway. So of course I was all excited, wondering who was there. And I ran in the house and the first thing my mother said, "Shh, don't say anything." And I said, "Why?" And she says, "The FBI, I hear." I said, "Oh." Well, they searched our house. They searched our 5 acres of farm. They searched the outhouse. They searched the strawberry shacks, everything. And of course, they didn't find anything. And then they asked, "Well, do you have any contraband?" And my dad was being very honest, and he said, "Well, I do have some dynamite, but that was to be used for the farming." Well, they couldn't find it, and so they took him.
Common items such as cameras, radios, and rifles for hunting were deemed contraband in Japanese American households and were confiscated by the FBI. Many of these items were never returned. Hisametsu Daira was 6 when her father was taken away by the FBI. He was imprisoned in a U.S. Department of Justice camp in Missoula, Montana, when the family was evacuated.
My father was taken away, and this was in March. And I remember a letter he had written to my mother, and she was standing outside reading this letter by the wood box, and she was crying. And I had never seen her cry before. So I asked her, what's the matter? And she said, "Oh, nothing." She said, "I'm just happy to hear from him." And so that was the extent of my knowing that my father was away.
Some families destroyed cultural items like kimonos, fans, sake bottles, books, and other Japanese works of art to prove their loyalty to the United States. From Bainbridge Island, 34 men and 1 woman were arrested and questioned during this time. 14 men were eventually incarcerated in Department of Justice camps, some released only after the end of the war.